The Donut Bag is brought to you by Penn Highway Marketplace, the marketplace for vintage goods, quality collectibles, and handmade crafts. It's where I get all my sports memorabilia. Go to facebook.com/Penn Highway. That's facebook.com/PENNHWY and mention I sent you. So the last time we talked was right after the Florida game where they won 7-6 in overtime. That was the Letang return game where he had 4 points and stuff like that. And then the next game was Thursday against Washington. But first, we have breaking news. The Islanders and Vancouver made a trade. The Islanders got Bo Horvat and they gave up Beauvillier and a first round pick and what else did they give up?
I was just on it. Sorry, I just had a coughing spree.
Okay, so it's Bo Horvat to the Islanders and Vancouver gets Anthony Beauvillier
And the first round pick from
Atu Ratty. Okay, I don't know who that is, and a first round pick. It's a conditional first round pick, whatever that means. So, okay, so they made a big move. This is this bothers me as a Penguins fan because now it's early. I know it's early. I know the trade deadline is March 3rd. We have over a month, but still, God, we need to do something. My goodness.
I mean, Ruedel and Russ could go. I wouldn't have any problems with that. I know people are gonna be like, why Rust? He performs once in a while. It's just gotten stale for us. And when I go through everything and I look at players' value and what we can get for them and so on and so forth, and I think Ruedel's just, I mean, he's AHL caliber at best. And Rust, we could get some money for. He's just kind of fallen into, I don't know. I don't like him on our team anymore.
I don't know whether the problem is half the team has no trade clauses. I don't know whether Rust has a no trade clause.
I don't know anything about contracts or any of that stuff.
That's the problem, though.
Is there a way to bring that up?
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, yes. Okay. Obviously Crosby does. Malkin does. There are what are called, it looks like there are no movement clauses, and then there are like modified no trade clauses where I think a player says I won't go to these certain teams.
Yeah, X amount of teams.
Okay. So here's who has either a no movement clause or a limited no movement clause.
Hold on. Hold on. You're getting me all excited. I get to make notes. Okay. Hold on. No movement clause? Okay.
No movement clause. Okay. Crosby, Malkin. Gensel has a modified no trade clause, whatever that means. Zucker
is modified.
Yeah, Zucker is modified. Rust has a full no trade clause. They can't trade him.
What?
I know. Why him? Are you kidding me?
We're stuck with him?
We're stuck with him.
Oh, we're never going to win the cup. I'm done. Podcast over.
Here's who
what
else. Exactly. Here's who else has
I don't even care anymore. Honestly, this is a joke.
Raquel has a modified no trade clause, and guess who else doesn't? Jeff Carter has a full no trade clause. We can't even get rid of Jeff Carter. It gets better. On the defense, obviously Letang has a no trade clause. Petrie has a no trade clause, and Brian Dumoulin has a modified no trade clause. We can't even get rid of Brian Dumoulin.
Dumoulin's not our worst player. I'm so sick and tired of people here. I'm done. I don't even want to hear about how bad Brian Dumoulin is. He's not bad. He's not even close to our worst player. Again, Joe with the Twitter. I'm gonna give you crap.
I didn't say anything. I'm just saying that is the situation. If you wanted to trade him, you couldn't.
No, there's got to be a way around that. Like, these guys aren't gods.
I would imagine. Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine. If you gave them like a Tim Hortons gift card or something like that, maybe they would waive that no trade clause or something. I don't know.
Like, this team just went from frustrating to impossible.
Well, that's the thing. So, I want to get your thoughts on how the Vancouver coach got handled. Basically, Jim Rutherford is the GM of Vancouver now, and he basically Rutherford does not mince words. He basically says whatever's on his mind. He does not. He's probably be the worst poker player ever. And he basically said, "I'm tired of Boudreau, and I'm going to fire him." He didn't say that exactly, but he basically hinted that he was going to get rid of Boudreau.
Okay, wait, who said that? Rutherford?
Rutherford said this. This is a few weeks ago. So basically, Boudreau's job was like it was inevitable that he was going to be fired. Yet he was still coaching the team. So it was a really crappy situation for him, knowing that you're going to lose your job and you're still going to get out there. The fans were behind him. The players were upset, and then eventually he did get fired. People are very angry with Rutherford with how he handled that.
I think something went to Rutherford's head. He's not the same person he used to be when he was with us in Pittsburgh. I think that maybe ego has become a little bit of a problem here. And I think that's a big problem that we see in the NHL. Like, for example, we see a lot of recycled coaches and GMs in that. And I'm not going to get into that today. Your question was about how Rutherford handled, in Vancouver handled Boudreau. It was heartbreaking to me. And I could care less about the Vancouver Canucks. But as a coach and, a person that's wanted to work in the NHL since I was 11, it's like, what, 30 years? Like, I've invested my whole life into this. So I do pay attention to coaches and what's going on in the NHL in that regard. And like, to see him almost fall apart, like a grown man, fall to tears, broke me. It broke me. It literally broke me. And I sat there and I was just like shook. I'm like, I can't. Like, how could you do this to someone? And the irony about all this is during like Mental Health Matters month or whatever, nothing matters. Nobody cares. Like, I'm over it. Anyways, this is just my opinion based on experience, I should say. But like, this man was falling apart. There's a way to handle things better. If you want to get a coach out, you find one. You don't weed him out and make comments and make it like awkward for him. But at the end of the day, too, your coach isn't on the ice. A lot of you got to look at both the players and the coach. Like, it's complicated, So did they handle it well? No. Would I want to see Rutherford back in Pittsburgh after this? No. Honestly, I lost a lot of respect for Rutherford. And
because of what he's been doing in Vancouver, or even before that?
Just in general, like, he was pretty good for us when he was here, but I just find like he's changed. He's not the same, he's not the same. He's not the same person.
He's not.
It's gone to his head. Something's gone to his head.
I'm looking up how 70? Old he is. I was gonna say, how old is he?
70.
He's in his he's 73.
Yeah.
I think at some point it happens to almost every GM that at some point you quote unquote lose your fastball. You lose your you just don't become good at the job anymore. And I think that's what happened with him. The circumstances of him leaving the Penguins, like what, a month into the season or something like that, a couple of years ago, was just really, really curious why, how that would happen. So that's a mystery as what happened. Um, I I think he could have handled it better, but at the same time, they're all professionals and coaches last like 2 or 3 years. That's the average amount of time that a coach lasts in the NHL. So it's like you're upset you got fired. Like what? Every coach gets fired except
Wrong.
except for
Wrong.
our coach.
Wrong, Joe. That's so not really. Yikes. Okay, so that's not a really good way of looking at it. Like, for example, like with Sullivan, we've had him for 1,400 years now, and he's done nothing for us since the beginning of time. I'm totally biased in this, and I'm probably the worst person to talk about this. But you have your coaches as long as they're doing well, right? And that doesn't work for us for some reason because the water in Pittsburgh is, I don't know. But it's still a professional courtesy how you treat your staff, even when exiting, a company or whatever it's called, a franchise, a sports team. Everything, you have professional courtesies because you never know. These two could end up working again together. You never know, right? It's stranger things have happened. So I think it's really important. They do say don't burn bridges ever in your career unless you don't want to be able to cross that bridge again, which I firmly believe in. But I think, hockey has been shown as like, a family team dynamic. Like it's very team family oriented, but this was just like throw them out to the wood, like dogs to the again with words. I'm so sorry.
Throw them to the wolves.
Yes, it just wasn't it put a bad taste in all fans, not just Vancouver fans, all fans. And it was actually nice to see all fans rally around and see, his last game, Bruce, there it is, and this, that, and the other. And then just to go on that, Rick Tocchet coming in, he doesn't have the best record as a coach. And like he was going through some crap all over the internet, and I don't know what it was about, but he ended up having to delete his Twitter. And I don't know if that was personal reasons or if it was because of like Fleabag or whatever was.
Oh, he was getting a lot of hate.
Oh, so much. And I was because
that.
I was in contact with him. I was gonna interview him for a book I was doing. He followed me on Twitter and I didn't get to catch him before he deleted his. So hopefully I can reconnect with him somehow. I'm pretty sure we will. But it was pretty upsetting because it's like I'm reading all this stuff and people like are ripping on him. Like, leave the man alone. Give him a chance. He's new in his career.
The guy is he's just a guy that got hired for a job. He had nothing to do with this whole, hate on Rutherford, he's the one that deserves the crap, but Tocchet's just doing a job.
Yeah, that's why I don't like Twitter. It's or social media anymore. It's just so much hate. People don't even necessarily deserve it, and it's just like they get thrown into a corner, and it's like, you know what? It's gross. Really, it's gross. But I do like to see, the passion and the humanity that Bruce had. Bruce was a human, right? First and foremost. And he loved the game of hockey. And you saw that. Yeah, you get fired. You do. But there's a way to handle it so that you can go out with your head up rather than in tears. That's just me. And I mean, like, I'm a woman. I can only imagine me in this industry. Like, I've been in this industry. I've never cried in front. I have cried behind the scenes. Oh boy, have I cried. But I've been to the point where I've like been shocked at how I've been handled. It's not just professional, it's actually everywhere. People and egos in this industry are pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, you're right. There should be some kind of professionalism for that. So as it stands right now, the Islanders are 2 points behind the Penguins.
Sure to do that.
At this point, I don't know. It's
pretty tight there, right?
It is. They're 1 point behind the Capitals, for that second spot. The Panthers are right there too.
Buffalo, the
Sabres are right
Islanders,
there. Oh my
like even
goodness.
Philly, if they continue to play well, they're not that far out.
Philly's only 6 points out of a spot. That's nothing. That's 3 wins.
Yeah.
That's
And
nothing.
Detroit even 51. Like, wow. Wow.
Wow.
Should we get into each game?
Yes, let's get into the game. So Thursday they played in Washington. It was a loss 3-2 in overtime and a shootout, but they played a lot better defensively than the Florida game. But I mean, and this is just, I don't know if it's just because it's Washington. They always play Washington well, and the one goal, the first goal was scored by Ovechkin on the dot with a shot. He scored that same kind of goal probably 700 times out of his 800 some goals. It's probably the same thing.
It's so predictable.
So predictable. It's happening. He literally just stood there. And waited for the shot. And Paling, for some reason, decided to leave him alone and go to the front of the net and leave the literal greatest goal scorer of all time right there alone.
Yeah, too. And he wasn't really watching Ovi with the puck much. He was more focused. I remember because he was facing the other side of the net and rather than facing Ovi. And I know, you know what? Know your players, know your opponents, know what they do, know their habits, know their downfalls, know their weaknesses. That's how you beat people, or beat teams. Sorry, that sounded really horrible. But it's so important. Like every player's job is to know your opponent. It's like when you go into a boxing fight, you are going to know your opponent's weaknesses, strengths, right down to the, their every punch they throw, where it's coming from and how, you know what I mean? Your opponent. Hockey is no different. You got to know your opponents. And that was bad. That was really, really bad on Paling there. I have to say, I was just like, what do you like? Even Ovechkin's little son even knows how to play Ovechkin better than Paling did. I've seen videos.
It's the same thing. It's the same. It's the same thing every time. They shouldn't have one person on Ovi. They should have two people like glued to Ovi. I don't care if that puts the rest of the team at a disadvantage, shorthanded. I don't care. Let the other team beat you. Ovechkin
shutting down Ovechkin is literally like that's probably going to be your best objective, like shutting down the offensive strengths on the other team. But priorities.
Yeah. Danton Heinen, I believe, had a goal.
I just want to mention too that we were shut down to 7 shots in that first period. Washington outshot us 22-7.
Okay, that first period, the Penguins looked horrible.
Yeah, they were slow. There was no heart. It wasn't the same team as Tuesday when Letang came back. That was Letang's second game, right? Yeah. There was no. It was just like I thought we'd have that Letang high for a few games. Remember we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
But where'd it go? But yes, back to.
It lasted one game.
My favorite player, Heinen.
Yeah, your boy scored. Your boy scored, and he got a whopping 8 minutes 43 seconds of ice time. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And then it gets to overtime, which we know in this case is almost a guaranteed loss, but they did not lose into 3-on-3. They lost in the shootout, and really,
we suck in a shootout. I remember tweeting sometime that the shootout is the NHL's way of forcing a player into submission because it really showcases how weak their confidence skills are, how they have absolutely no showcase skills. It's embarrassing. Like they just are too afraid to fully give it. Not all the players. It's usually the superstars that are the worst at shootouts. But I wanted to go back a little bit in this game, and I remember when Bluger got charged or penalized with a face-off violation. I fell out of my chair because Carter was brought in and he won that face-off. And I will still scream this till I'm blue in the face. I don't understand why Carter is not on the center. I don't understand. I know he's not your best player, but I don't even know why he's on the third line anymore. He should be demoted to the fourth line. But I don't know. One thing that bothered me about this game, and I know I'm going to get some heat for this. I saw Mr. Crosby hanging around the net a little bit too much. Right on the net. Like he was cherry picking something fierce. He was there. He's not. I've noticed him do this in the past, but not as much in this game. And honestly, it was pissing me off, Joe. I'm just like, get away from there. Get away from there. What are you doing? Do the work. My notes are here. Do the work. Don't be a cherry picker. Like I understand.
Wait,
sometimes you put yourself
he was
there.
hanging. He was hanging near the net.
Yeah, on the other side. I don't know, the left side. So it would have been his way of shooting.
So he's just standing there waiting for
the puck to come. Yeah. That's something I've never really noticed of him. I've seen him do, all players kind of do it, but he was hanging there long. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? I know he wants to win. He wants to get, I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's cheap. It reminds me of another player that plays for the other team. That was, a pretty big cherry picker, big goal scorer himself, number 8. Anyways, yeah, I didn't like seeing that. I'm not seeing the same Sidney Crosby that I've seen over the years, this year especially. Granted, he's getting some points and he does have some good moments, but it's just like I'm seeing a shell of the player I once seen.
Wow. Do you think it's an age thing, or do you think it's a
mental?
Yeah.
Could be spiritual. I don't know, but it's mental. It's frustrating though, because he's the reason I'm here. So yeah, but you know what? That's it.
What about how are missed shots and turnovers?
It was low, actually. We only had 13 errors in this game, 5 turnovers and 8 missed shots. And excuse me. Our biggest well, help me here. Why am I struggling with words so much lately?
What are you trying to say?
Our biggest offenders were Petrie, Dumoulin, and Raquel with 2 errors. And then we had Heinen, Rust, O'Connor, Ruido, Pedersen, Letang, and Carter all had 1. But Dumoulin had a point. O'Connor had a point. It doesn't matter. These guys had points, but no errors, which makes me happy. It was Gino for once. He had no points though. Sydney had no errors. And he had a point. Jake had no errors. Zucker had no errors. So only 2 players in the top line had errors, which usually it's all of them, which I like seeing that, the 2 top lines. And Paling, sorry. Paling had no errors, though I still, his judgment call on Ovi's goal, that's an error to me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I have some notes. I said, we've got no heart. There's no rhythm. I'm so sorry. No connection or flow. I talked about Sydney being a cherry picker. I'm going to get so much heat for that. Casey was sensational.
He was good.
He faced 45 shots in that game. And he let in 2
goals. Yeah.
2 goals out of 45. That's pretty phenomenal considering the state of our defense. And I know we didn't have too many turnovers in that game, but I was impressed. I was really impressed with Casey in that game. And Paley needs to know his opponents better. That was really bad. And our faceoffs are still a really big issue. I don't like the deep pairings. I don't like the lineup, and we suck in overtime.
Yeah. One of the shootout goals for Washington was by Kuznetsov, and he practically stood still. I don't think that should be allowed. I think you should be allowed to move at some point. I think it's impossible to stop a goal when like the goalie just the shooter just stands there and decides when he's going to shoot. I I don't know. That bothered me, but
I don't remember.
yeah. But I thought it was
Sorry.
interesting that they stopped Oshie, who is Mr. Shootouts.
I'm so sorry. I'm a
to-
mess tonight.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know, I had a hard time. I'm so sorry.
Bless you.
I know I'm falling apart, Joe.
You are allergic to turnovers. That's what.
I'm
what
allergic
it is.
to errors.
Yes.
I'm allergic to errors. And it's funny, actually. I noticed in Sydney's post game after the Sharks game, all he did was talk about mistakes. He calls them mistakes. I call them what they are, errors. Because a mistake isn't a mistake. Once you do it twice, it's choice.
So let's talk about the Sharks game. They lost 6-4 Saturday night against the Sharks.
We went with the same lineup, exact same lineup.
Going with roll with the same lineup. The Sharks are in second to last in
They're like fourth last overall, and this would have been their 15th win out of 51 games played, beating us.
Correct.
I should make it clear I was unable to watch the game, not by choice, just by inability. I don't know if our listeners know that I was a pretty diehard Sharks fan, and after that cup run, the Pens beat them I just have not been able to watch it. I feel quite ashamed of myself. So I did listen on the Pens app, and I got about 20 minutes in, one period in, then I couldn't bring myself. It was pretty torture. Not that the Pens were losing. I kind of enjoyed that a little bit. I mean, I'm a big fan of karma. What can I say? But I did follow along on the app, and I kept notes and whatnot. So I just starting off, because we were playing one of the worst teams in the league. Sullivan's like, hey, let's keep the same lineup. It's good.
Yeah. There was a goal. The first goal was scored by the Sharks. Minute 25. This was at first you would say this was a horrible game by DeSmith, but really this was a complete
There's a whole
defensive
dumpster fire of a team performance.
Yes, it was a total team effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that first goal, Petrie and Pedersen go behind the net, and that's really good when you have both defensemen behind the net.
Behind the net.
Yeah. Then Malkin was supposed to cover someone and just decided not to play defense, not to do anything really.
Gino does that. I'm telling you, I watch him all the time. He'll be like, oh, okay, Gino's about to do something, and then he's like, it's like he sees a butterfly and he goes off in a different direction.
It's yeah, that's what you get with him. You get spectacular goals, and you get defensive lapses. Let's call it that.
Yeah, right.
This was yet another goal that is scored either at the beginning or an end of a period. They're really good at giving up goals at beginnings and ends of periods.
I know, 7 seconds left in the first period. Carlson scored.
Carlson.
I was like, come on. But this first period was a really indication of how this whole game was going to go.
Yeah.
Sharks were dominating.
Sharks were dominating. Malkin and Crosby scored on the power play.
Yeah.
And okay, cool. And then Carlson scores at 19:53 of the period.
That was actually one of the best periods I'd seen from Sidney Crosby. Even though I haven't been really watching, but I've been paying attention and listening. One of the best periods I'd heard from him in weeks. I wonder what his motivation was.
This was basically the second goal by the Sharks was Erik Karlsson coming in, and he basically he basically pinched because it was the end of the period and nobody touched him. This was another. This is basically being blamed on Paling yet again, not being aware to say, hey, there's that team's best player. Maybe somebody should cover him.
Yeah, Paling's not good at reading his opponents. I did make note of this. He needs to understand who he's playing better. You're not just showing up to play a hockey game. Your job is you're paid a lot of money to know who you're playing.
Yeah. Be smart.
The Gino
So
turnover led to our Sharks' third goal in the game. I had to segue into that.
that's exactly what happened. He turned over. Not only that, he turned over the puck actually twice in that sequence.
Yeah. No, that was the third period. He did two.
This was the goal where the Sharks player basically cut through. I think it was Petrie and Petter and Raquel, and he cut through them like he was like they were standing still. And
so frustrating.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
So frustrating.
It was extremely frustrating. Paling scores shorthanded. Okay, cool. So now it's 3-3. But at 17:07 of the second period,
Sharks are like,
the Sharks score again to make it 4-3. Okay.
I'm just here to listen to you complain with a big smile on my face. This is just really confusing for me.
Malkin scores in the third period at 10:06 to make it 4-4. So 2 goals for Malkin. Cool. And then on the go-ahead goal by Logan Couture at 15:35. For some reason, I mean, it looked like there was goaltender interference, and for some reason the Penguins did not challenge it. So hey, who cares? It's only the game deciding goal. Why should we
usually Sullivan's pretty sharp on those calls.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like interference. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking there. And then there was an empty net goal. Let's go back a little bit. On January 10th, they played Vancouver, who is having a bad year, and they barely won. On January 16th, they played Anaheim. These are both at home. Anaheim is in last in the Pacific and one of the worst in the entire league. Barely beat them. Beat them in overtime. And then the next game they play Ottawa and lose in overtime.
New Jersey, January 22nd. Well, they're a good team, but another overtime.
Yeah, they're a good team. This time they were not as lucky. When things like that happen, when you barely beat a bad team, it seemed like their attitude was, oh well, so yeah, we played lousy, but we won. And they're all excited that they won.
Oh, I know. I'm like, what are you celebrating?
Exactly. So now they lost to a really bad team, and they were sad, and they were upset, and they were
starting to realize that they are a very bad team. That they don't have to be a very bad team. It's just the way the bench is being run. And I mean, I'm really upset over all these no trade and conditional contracts. Like, we're screwed. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. We had 25 errors in that game. 25 against the San Jose Sharks. And I don't like talking bad about the Sharks. Have always be in my heart. I'm so sorry.
So here's who could be traded. Here's who does not have a no trade clause.
Can I just go over the errors first?
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
So we had 11 turnovers and 14 missed shots, works out to 25 errors. We had our biggest error people. I know how to speak, I swear. Were Letang and Gino with 3 errors each. Gino had 3 points, so he cancels each other out. Letang had 3 errors, 0 points, so he was a big addition to that game. And then we had a bunch of 2: Bluger, Rust, Pedersen, Sydney, McGinn, Petrie, all 2 errors. Mind you, a few of them had a couple. Well, Sydney had 2 points, and Petrie had 1 point. Petrie doesn't count. Yeah, he does. Anyways, I'm just gonna say Dumoulin and Heinen had 0 errors because I'm sticking on that bandwagon. I'm starting my own wagon. And the one thing I wanted to talk about too, quickly is in those 2 games, we had a total of 16 turnovers. 1 was low and 22 missed shots. And the reason I focus so hard on errors is because errors can be fixed. These are small things that we can tighten up our game that will actually help improve our performance and thus our overall standing in the league. We'll start winning more. The players are starting to talk about mistakes. It's out there, so it needs to be done. It absolutely needs to be done. So in 49 games played, we have 585 missed shots. That's nuts. Imagine cleaning that up a little bit, how many more are going in? And then we have 459 turnovers. Now that doesn't include some of the players who only play 1 game here or there. I didn't count theirs in the grand scheme of things, but these errors are what the problem is. And Gino, again, 3 turnovers in 2 games, and
1 turnover directly led to a goal.
All 3 in 1 game. That was all against the Sharks. So Russ, Bluger, Letang, 2 turnovers, 1 per game, basically. And it's like, you know, these are like veteran players that have won and are paid very well and that are making the most mistakes. I'm offended. As a fan, I'm offended. I'm not impressed. And now I hear about these no trade contracts and how is Sullivan even still there running these same lineups? Like, what the heck's going on? Like, look at this. It's not even funny if you look at this. Like, some of these players shouldn't even be playing together. Like, I know people are saying, oh, Raquel needs to go back up to the first line. You don't touch that second line. That second line is dynamic. It has that whole HBK flow that could keep building if they keep going. The other three lines need to be dismantled, and I'm done. The play. I'm frustrated, Joe. Why did you talk about no trade? Why can't Russ be traded? Send him to
Because
the
he's
moon.
smart. He has a good agent.
What, does he not want to win the Stanley Cup? Does he not want to play for a team? That's not smart.
No.
Oh, let's limit myself to a team that can't grow because everyone's got no move contracts and we all suck. Sounds smart to me.
Rust has a no trade clause. The same reason that we had to bring back Malkin, that we had to bring back Letang, that we had to bring back Raquel, because it's all about
to bring
feeling
back the wrong
good.
Person. Sorry.
It's all about feeling good. It doesn't matter about winning. It's about feeling good and just playing with our friends and just going out there and having. I'm not going to say they're having fun. They're just going out there and doing what they want and playing with who they want. And it doesn't matter. This is all about feeling good. We forgot about winning. I heard that Hextall's not even going to do anything. He's not even going to try to make trades or anything like that. So
you can't move anyone. Everyone's stuck. Everyone's Penguins for life.
Here is Penguins for life. Here who does not have a any.
Okay, let me actually write this down for real. Like, I got so upset last time.
Okay, you have Brock McGinn. Who the hell wants him? He's making 2.7 million, which is insane. And they have him for the next 2 years.
So Brock McGinn, 2.7, 2 years is a no move.
He's available. He could be moved.
Oh, okay.
Teddy Bluger is making 2.2 million. Now he is a free agent after this year.
Bye-bye.
Bye, get out of here. But I don't care about the end of the year. I care about now. Your boy Danton Heinen is only making $1 million.
This
he
is
is
the
a free
problem I
agent.
have with this guy. I don't understand why he's not getting the hours. Give him a chance. Give him a full game. I don't like this. I'm angry. I don't understand this. Like, how is Mike Sullivan still coaching?
I'm hearing speculation that maybe he's lost the room.
Again, he's lost it over and over and over and over again. We've watched that numerous times over the last 5 years, 6 years, but
well, okay, this is the latest time. When you have these kind of defensive breakdowns, they're saying something about it. He's telling them, hey, be smarter. They just don't feel like listening. And when the players don't feel like listening, then you've lost the room, bro. Now, from what I understand, they can't get rid of Sullivan either. He just signed a contract this past summer or something like that.
No, all contracts can be torched. I don't care.
Yeah. And now in terms of defensemen, here's who only could be moved. Oh boy. Marcus Pettersson, who is making $4 million.
He can be moved.
He can be moved. And I think that's your only option.
So one of our best defensemen who's kind of going through a rocky. What other teams are out there? Carolina's looking really good, eh? I watched.
Yeah, let's pick another team. Let's pick another team to follow. Yeah, that is really their only option, is getting rid of Pettersson. He's making $4 million, and he's going to be making
a little much for what he's making. Pettersson, actually, you know what? Everybody's been playing like crap lately, but Pettersson has been our best defenseman. No offense to Chris Letang, he just hasn't been it. He had one good game when he came back. I'll give him that, but Letang hasn't been at what he was the last 2 years so far up this year before his, the loss of his father and of course his stroke. But he wasn't anything special up until those incidents.
Also available is P.O. Joseph, but he's only making $825,000.
I want to see what's his name come back.
Smith.
We're stuck with this team until I don't know, the asteroid hits. What?
Yeah,
what?
We're waiting.
Who okayed this?
Kapanen does not have a no trade clause. But then who the heck wants him?
Be gone, but that's not really a make or break. He's not going to make or break us.
Well, his salary is, because he's making $3.2 million this year and next year. So basically their options are trade Pettersson or McGinn or Bluger or I don't know what.
We're screwed.
Or Kapanen. We're screwed.
We're screwed because that's all screwy. That's there's nothing there. There's no value there. No, that's to get an actual good player who's going to want to come and play with Pittsburgh with a bunch of old men. And I mean, Kapanen is one of our fastest skaters. So to lose him.
Wait. Kapanen can go straight to hell. He is one of their fastest skaters. What has he done?
I would never send him to hell. That's what
he could go.
Don't he has on Twitter, man. Honestly, you guys drive me nuts. So Kapanen, what can Kapanen do if he's playing with the right line mates? He can do a lot. And now, since he's lost his confidence, his coach's confidence, and thus his teammates' confidence, it's going to affect his play. So, you are telling me Kapanen can go straight to, I won't double say that word again, but that only makes us slower?
Okay. Yes, he's fast. He does not score. He gets one hat trick a year. That's it.
That's better how many other players are getting a hat trick a year?
One game out of 84.
How many other players are getting more than one hat trick a year on our team?
Okay. He
I'm
is
calling you
not
out.
living up.
My point is, Kapanen could be better if he was utilized better. And I've said this, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Mike Sullivan does not run his bench efficiently or effectively. I think those are the same two words, but I said with the same conviction. I'm telling you, he needs to, and I've been saying this for months, do this with the lineup. See what works. Who knows what could work now that didn't work a couple years ago with these players? Give them a chance. Like, you never know. But you can't, if you're not going to have the confidence in your players, if your players don't feel you're confident in them, period.
What would you do with Kapanen if you were the coach? Assuming he's healthy. Assuming he's healthy, where would you put Kapanen that he would be utilized the best?
Didn't I?
I don't know.
I'm pretty
I
sure.
told you to fix the team.
Oh, this is when you gave me homework, and I did.
Yeah, I gave you homework
for 4 days because I was like,
and your brain exploded.
My brain. I couldn't fix it. I'm like, I looked at everything. I went through so much, and I was watching games over again, and I'm like,
yeah,
who wants to deal with this? It's tough.
I there is no.
I mean, Carter needs to go.
Carter's not going to go. So the best you could do with him is put him on the fourth line.
Yeah, we're screwed.
We're
screwed. You know what? It's pointless. I could tell you what should happen. It's not going to happen because there's no room to wiggle on this team. They're going to get rid of Kapanen, one of our fastest players, and if he's not replaced with a fast or skater, like the same speed or faster, then we just get slower. If that's not a problem, like, I don't know what is. Like, you're not going to get, unless, are you not frustrated, Joe?
I'm beyond frustrated. We've been saying the same thing almost every week for what, 4 months now?
Yeah.
4 months now. We've been saying the same thing. We've been seeing the same thing from this team, and it's just getting worse. And the only good thing that happened is they finally realized, hey, maybe we're not good when we're losing 6-4 to the Sharks at home.
That was bittersweet, man. I'll be honest. Like I did tell you, I haven't been able to watch the Sharks games, Penn Sharks games since 2015-16. And I got Valentine's Day to contend with. I don't think I'll be watching that one either, but I will listen. We'll see. Maybe I'll try, but I don't know who I'm cheering for that night. I don't know. We could scream till we're blue in their face. By the looks of it, we're in trouble. All these players, no move. Like, what do you think you are? Like, excuse me, Brian Rust? Who are you? Back of the line, bud. He's not a caliber player that should be able to say no move. I can't be moved. Yeah, right. That's right. Disgusting.
A no movement clause should be for like the very best players.
Like, yeah,
not no. I mean, Zucker has a no trade clause. So basically, it seems like this season is being punted. Is toast.
Oh, it's toast. We're not going to make the playoffs, not at this rate.
I was going to miss I think I was going to miss the first week of the playoffs because I'm going on vacation. At this point, it doesn't matter. I don't think I'm going to be missing anything.
Yeah.
Here, I guess we could start looking toward next year. Zucker will be gone. Bluger, Heinen will be gone. Paling's a restricted free agent, and O'Connor's a restricted free agent. Dumoulin will be gone, and Tristan Jarry will be gone if they don't bring him back. And that is the that is the big enchilada that we haven't dealt with is what do you do with Jari? What do you do with a player that is constantly hurt? I've heard a rumor that his latest issue is not upper body, but it's actually a groin issue. If you have
That's
a
what he heard at the beginning of the season. I'm telling you,
okay,
he got run the fair game one. He got run by a player. I can't remember what he got. You could see it on his face. This is what I do is like I watch players to see reaction. And he got up slowly. Game two, he got run out again, and he got up slowly, and you could see it in his face. And I knew it. I'm like, this man is hurt, and he continued to play, and it's re-aggravated this injury. And this.
Correct me if I'm not. Correct me if I'm wrong. A groin injury is something that you need total rest. That is just going to keep.
But yeah, like
even
just re-aggravating walking, and like you can re-aggravate it. You know, like who's in charge of this team?
We don't know. I don't think there's anybody in charge of this team. I think
it's like literally running amok. Like you've got no responsibility of players' health. You've got players with no trade contracts, clauses in their contracts that you shouldn't even have contracts. Woo! You've got a coach that's afraid to do anything with the lineup. You've got a GM that's from enemy. What was anyone like? Was Mario part of this when he was like who was like, yeah, you know what? I think Ron Hextall would be a great addition to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Phenomenal idea. Did anyone like? I have a bad taste in my mouth just saying that, and it's been 2 years of this now. 2 years.
I like that when I mean ownership changed, and when ownership changed, they said to Hextall, "What is your plan for this team?" He's like, "I don't have one. It's in my head, buddy." What do you? You don't have a plan?
He said that.
He said that. He said that. They asked him, "What is your?" He said he didn't say I don't have a plan. He said the plan is in my head. I'm not writing it down.
Fired.
Yeah. Now
that doesn't work. This is a multi-million-dollar company. That doesn't work in any line of business. If you say I don't have a plan, it's all up here. Like, what do we have to do? Do we have to do brain surgery to figure out what's going on here? From what I understand, I've heard someone say, well, if you fire Hextall, then Brian Burke will be in charge, and he's like Jim Rutherford, and he'll just go crazy with trades and stuff. Crazy.
Go crazy, blow it up.
Crazy. I'm okay with crazy because what we're seeing right now is insanity. Crazy is a little more fun. Insanity is scary.
After the Sharks game, Sullivan said it's all his fault. And of course the players said no, it's not his fault. I don't know.
You know what? First of all, players, it's your fault. You're on the ice. You're with the skates, the stick, and the puck. Sullivan, it's your fault too, because you have to run your bench. You have to motivate and inspire your team to get out there and do their best job. Fire everyone. Relocate the team to Quebec. It's over, Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. I'm just here to let you know.
Don't move the team.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but you know.
I mean, here's the thing. Crosby is what, 35? Malkin
36 in a couple months.
30. He'll be 36. Malkin is
37.
We have wasted yet another year of these icons, of these wonderful players. We've wasted yet another year of their career because the coach and the GM are words I can't say.
Yeah, when I spoke about legacies, like the last 5, now 6 years have taken away from their strength, their skill, their speed, everything, and cementing adding to their legacies is just going like meow, because you're squandering this time. And it's like, okay, next year we'll get it next year. Well, next year, like at this point, there's not always going to be a next year. So it's like, seize the moment. I was about to quote some Eminem there, but I better not. It's just, you know,
Mom spaghetti.
yeah,
The,
it's frustrating. It's really frustrating to watch this go down
and
because, it could be different. It could be different. Like, it's the wrong people there's the wrong people in these positions, Sullivan, Hextall, and it's frustrating. It's heartbreaking
the
too.
crazy thing is, Crosby is having an okay season.
No, he's having a great season. He's just not
Yes,
consistent.
but his line mates are letting him down. Gensel, what the heck's going on
Well,
with
get
you,
rid of
dude?
them both. I'm over it.
Rust.
They played
Well, no, we
together
can't
long
get rid of
enough.
them.
Bye.
We can't. They have no trade clauses.
Oh my god. Why?
How would you like to be at a job that no matter what you did, they couldn't get rid of you? If I would worked at McDonald's and I just, they ordered a burger and I took the burger and I threw it in the customer's face or something like that. Too bad.
No,
You can't get rid of me.
There are things that can get people out of these contracts, of course. But yeah. What the heck? I wish I would. Oh god. That's crazy.
We basically have to look to next year and find out what happens. But
so you were stuck with Gensel and Rust and
yes,
Letang
yes,
and Gino.
yes.
And
We're stuck with Gensel, Rust, and Raquel, and Carter until 2020, until next year, oh boy.
Well, I hope you enjoy losing. I hope you just I hope you just like to watch hockey despite the outcome, because this team's not winning. Not with these people in the positions of power. Not Sullivan's inability to bring up some youth.
That's the thing that could be changed if they felt like it. You could bring up, basically, from what I understand, Puustinen in Wilkes-Barre is basically like Kapanen, but God forbid we would play him, because we gotta shove Teddy Bluger out there, who basically isn't the same player. Since he got something, his jaw messed up last year. He has not been the same player.
Yeah, players that get hurt, they don't come back the same always. Sometimes it takes them a few years.
Yeah.
Because of fear, like, it is scary to get hurt. It is scary. I don't care if you're a man, woman, or child. It is scary. And especially when you get to a certain age, it's like, well, I might not come back from this. And I've got family, children, and some of us. And it's like, it's scary. So yeah. We need some youth, we need some speed, and we need Sullivan and Hextall, and we're stuck with Brian Rust, really?
We're stuck with Brian Rust for God.
What's it?
Well, he just signed a contract and he's 30 years old. How long? Oh my God. At least 2027, 28. He signed a 6-year contract. Oh my God. We have his guy for the next 5 years. Oh my goodness.
That was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
Don't get me wrong, Rust can be good still, but he's just not consistent. And he does not have any deserving, neither does Jake. Neither one of them deserve to be on the top line anymore. I'm sorry. And now I find out that both have no trade clauses. I don't know who's running that. It sounds like a circus. It sounds like the whole entire circus over there in Pittsburgh, because that's just like, how do you win it when you have,
what it is? You know what it is? It's a country club. It is just What do you do at a country club? You just sit around and you just enjoy the view. And that's what this is. This is a country club.
Sounds like a bunch of losers. Like you don't want to win. No offense to country club people. Like I'm sure that life sounds really exciting.
No,
but
that's what we're doing. We could talk about all those times that we did win.
all those times. Wait,
Look at that. Look at
Pittsburgh has
this.
5
Look at
wins.
this. 2017 Stanley Cup champions. You could talk about that. We could talk because that's what this is. It's a country club and a museum. A museum you go to visit and see the nice things, and that's what this is. We're going to see the nice players. Look at. Let's all remember. Let's all remember when things were good. Because we don't care about winning. We only care about feeling good.
I don't like losing. It's not in my DNA, like at all. Like in my whole athletic career, if I lost a race against a girl, I used to run track too. When I lost a race, I would tunnel vision. I'm like, I'm getting her at that next track event. And Joe, I got her. I did not lose again to that lady or that girl. I did not lose. And I'm telling you, where is that winner's instinct with this team? You know?
They insist.
I need a drink.
They insist on doing things their way. You mentioned, well, if you lose Kapanen, then you lose speed. This team has lost speed, but they still think that they're fast, and they're not. They're arrogant, complacent country club museum. That's this team. Yeah, they're not the Penguins. They're the arrogant, complacent country club museum pieces.
Well, it's like, I guess this is where legacy characters, players' careers go to die then.
Yeah.
And that's really depressing.
This is a retirement home. This is basically what. There you go. Would you
a wake up call for me too as a fan? I'm like, I don't want
well,
this.
You know what? At some point, people are going to realize, oh, they don't care about winning. I'm not going to show up, and nobody's going to show up to games. And then maybe when ownership sees that they're losing money, maybe they'll think, "Ooh, maybe something's wrong here."
That's unbelievable.
Would you put Heinen on the first line?
On who?
Put Heinen on the top line.
Absolutely. I try that for 2-3 games, 100%. I've been saying it all season long. The guy does not have any errors. Granted, he doesn't have enough ice time to make any, but right. I know that he is hungry enough to put his best foot forward. I've noticed in my time being a Pens fan that players that get slotted with Sidney tend to bring out the best part about him. Hold on. Restart schedule for important. Okay. I don't know what's happening. Sorry.
Is something happening?
No. Okay.
What?
My computer. I'm not a computer person, so I'm like, new message. What's this? Yeah. You notice players will work harder for that spot because one, the pressure of playing with Sidney, they don't want to let him down, and Sidney will work harder to make that player feel, useful. He doesn't make it easy on them. I tell you that much because it's definitely hard playing with Sidney, but he works harder to make, and I'm telling you, that's how it starts to ebb and flow, that line. Get these, and I love you, Jake, love you, but get them off. It's not working anymore.
Okay, but who do you replace? Your only choices right now.
No, you got to keep one of them on. You got to keep one. You can't just.
So
Sidney back into you can't do that to poor Sidney.
Jake, Sidney, and then Heinen.
But you got to remember, Heinen can go on either. He can play either side.
Okay.
Heinen can play either wing. So that's what we do first and foremost. But you know what? These big attitudes with their no trade clauses, they're not going to want to go down to the third or fourth line. We're screwed.
Yeah.
This was a big mistake.
Maybe
I don't know who did this, but it was a really big mistake. This is what crushed this team.
Yeah.
I'm angry.
I agree.
I'm protesting. I'm writing letters, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do. I would try and slot Heinen up there. I mean, what else do we have? Would I put O'Connor? Paling 100% not. Luger 100% not. McGinn, we've tried him up there. Kapanen, we've tried him up there. Kapanen does not deal well with pressure of Sydney, so no. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more than just lineup changes.
But it's
They
also more like we've got no chemistry, and our deep pairings are complete. It's a
well,
lot of
remember,
mess.
you can't break up Pedersen and Petrie because that's the greatest defensive pair since sliced bread. So your only choices are to put P.O. Joseph with Letang and put Dumoulin with Ruedel for
Who's
now.
saying Petrie and Pedersen are the best? They're not the best.
Who's
Who's saying that?
well, guess.
Who? Anyone on Twitter? Don't listen to them.
But
If they've never played hockey or watched a lot of it or coached it or worked in it, aside from writing newspapers, oh yeah, I'm an expert. I'm sorry, they're not an expert. I know I sound awful, don't I? That's why I get all the job offers. No, this girl sounds like a complete egomaniac. No, yeah. It was proof when that one, and I'm not going to use his name, but said that face-offs don't even matter. Literally at the beginning of the game, if it doesn't matter, just chuck a puck into the, and then just everyone go for a free-for-all. Like, no, face-offs are very important. So yeah, stop listening. I'm coming there, Joe, and I'm gonna give you heck. You keep listening to
we're not letting you in the country not for restrictions and stuff, because we're afraid what you would physically do to these players.
Yeah.
you would climb over the glass and start taking people out.
No, I'd definitely be chirping them pretty hard. Usually I chirp the other team, but this time I'd be chirping them.
What's that thing, that net thing to help with the accuracy? Shooter. My sister is actually shopping for one to send to the Penguins.
Shut up.
She is.
I love it.
Hi, Angela.
Yeah, Angela.
She's she's.
If you do it, send from love from Jennifer in Toronto too.
She loves you, and she's looking for a shooter.
Get it at what's that, Pure Hockey?
Okay, you would know the places to get stuff like that.
I got a membership. Where is my book? Yeah, no, you can get them everywhere. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if you get them at Dick's, maybe. Wherever.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I definitely need one of those. I like the way you think, Angela. Good stuff. Girl after my own heart.
All right. So yeah, there are no games until
Colorado.
Oh boy, at home, Colorado. That might be like a 20-0 game. That might be like
20-0.
Colorado might win that game 20-0.
Colorado's kind of been on a slump though, haven't they?
Oh really?
I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. Yeah, Colorado's in 15th. So
then then after that they have December 14th at San Jose. Then they have a West Coast swing at Anaheim, at Kings, and then at San Jose.
Yeah.
So
should be good.
Should be good. Yeah. Oh boy. Something gotta give. Something gotta give. You cannot just allow this to continue. You just can't. And so Elliot Friedman, in his 32 Thoughts podcast or whatever, he said the worst thing a GM can do is
nothing.
Let your team lose in the playoffs for the same reason 2 years in a row. Technically, that already happened.
Try doing it 5 years in a row.
But in this case, he's saying, this situation with the Jari is a worst case scenario and a nightmare for the Penguins.
It's not just that though. Like, our whole team's crap.
Okay, yes, the whole team's crap, but you still need a goaltender, and it's not the Smith.
But we can't blame it on one player. I can't. You know what? That's just the coach in me. Like I could never have it go down. I'd sooner blame myself than let one player take the rap. You know?
Right, but still, you need a goalie, and it's not. And Jari is not reliable to be available, so you have to get someone else.
Well, who's available?
You know what? It's the Arizona goaltender, the Ottawa goaltender.
No thanks.
There's a guy in Buffalo. There's
No thanks.
the backup in Anaheim.
No thanks.
Yeah, it's not a good, you know, there's not a lot of options out there.
So maybe play Tokarski, see what he's got. Players that have her given a chance to play up, they tend to shine. But what do I know? I just watch hockey.
Well, yeah, what do you know?
I take a few notes here and there.
Okay, so that'll conclude it. I'm more angry now. I thought usually I get things off my chest and I feel better. I'm more angry now. I'm just angry and sad.
I think it's the no trade that was a big eye opener for us.
You know what? I just ruined your week. I'm sorry.
I know, there goes my bye week. It's like, and it's my birthday week, and it's just like I get no hockey on my birthday.
No hockey on your birthday. Not only no hockey on your birthday, the All-Star game on your birthday. That's just insulting. Yeah, no, that's nobody, not even the players want to watch.
It's gonna be a tough week, but you know what? It is what it is.
It literally is what it is, and it's going to be what it is. It's not going to change.
But it could be what it was.
We learned. I'm calling this podcast "No Trade Clause Madness." All right.
Oh, my brain like hurts.
I feel bad. I ruined your week. I ruined my week too.
It's really upsetting to me that we're stuck with these players. Like, why? Whose idea? Oh my goodness. Anyways, yeah. So it looks like we probably won't have another sit down until like the 15th of February.
We could talk next week. I don't know about what.
After one game.
Yeah, we could. Oh yeah, because it's the 30th.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll figure something out.
You don't have a no trade clause. You're you're free to be traded to other podcasts, but I still want you. So we'll
no. You're the only podcast I do now. That's it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it is a no trade clause.
It's exclusive. I don't lump me in that.
Okay.
Don't lump me in that.
You're not the Brian Rust of podcasters.
I'm so upset over that because I wrote down a whole big thing on lineups and now it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna yell at someone. Anyways.
Okay. Well, so oh gosh. Okay, so I'm definitely not talking. So happy early birthday.
Thank you.
All right, I'll see you.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Ciao.